This is another episode of Stand-Up Comedy, your host and MC, celebrating 40-plus years on the fringe of show business. Stories, interviews, and comedy sets from the famous and not so famous. Here's your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Man, I have some special stuff for this bonus show. There's a comic out there. He's been a stand-up comic for a couple decades. Then he pivoted, became a public speaker, and is offering all kinds of great humor and services to the business industry. But guess what? Now he's a world-famous author. We're so excited to have him on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Greg Schwem. It's incredible. Greg, I don't know how you do it. You take all your talents, all your humor, and now you can write too?
I can write. I know. Well, okay. I'm exercising my journalism degree from Northwestern University, which was a very long time ago. I won't tell you how long ago. I will just tell you that I'm 2 weeks out from a major reunion that I'm going to. Okay.
Well,
it's got a 0 on the end. It doesn't have a 5 in front of it, but just keep going back just a little bit. You'll figure it out.
Well, it's so exciting because not only have you been a successful stand-up comic and public speaker, but you've been through some tough times. I know you've had a bout with cancer. You went through a divorce, some of the other challenges of being an independent contractor, which is what all stand-up comics are. And you turn it into a positive, at least you're sharing it that way through your new book, Turning Gut Punches into Punchlines. That's Turning Gut Punches into Punchlines, ladies and gentlemen. A brand new book out by Greg Schwem. If you get a chance, pick it up on Amazon or wherever books are sold. But Greg, tell us a little bit about this adventure into writing.
Yeah, the main title says it all. I mean, it kind of tells you what I have been dealing with in the past 2 years or so. These two things happen simultaneously. The subtitle of the book is, so it's Turning Gut Punches into Punchlines. The subtitle is A Comedian's Journey Through Cancer, Divorce, and Other Hilarious Stuff. And that's what...
Yeah, nothing more hilarious than divorce and cancer.
Yes, exactly. That's what I want people to be intrigued by. I want them to know when they see it that this is not one of these woe is me, self-serving books. I just had, read about what I went through type of thing. I want people to see that there is humor in things that aren't necessarily funny. I mean, comedians, you and I both know comedians, we want to talk about things that are funny. We don't talk as much about darker subjects because we think, well, we don't want the audience to think, well, what's funny about that? And I wanted to show my audience, in this case via the written word, but now it's some of the things I wrote down are creeping into my stand-up act, that you can laugh at life's issues because everybody has them, including comedians. I think I have found that people, sometimes they look at comedians and they think that we're just put on earth to be funny 24/7 and entertain other people, and it's not the case. We have our issues too, but we look at things, and as well as I do, what sets comedians apart is we look at things in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
And when we can, we try to find the humor in there. So I was going through a reinvention. I have a clean bill of health, which is huge. And
hold on. Clean bill of health. That's great news.
Thank you. Yes, it is. I still get somewhat emotional talking about it, but divorce, a late in life divorce, gray divorce is really the term that's being used now.
Well, I just, to interrupt you, Greg, I just think it's, first off, comics our role is to comment on life in the world and find the funny. And you're absolutely correct. You don't normally go to, a lot of them go to divorce. Cancer's a little bit touchier subject. There's some things we just never joke about, like the Kennedy assassination or something. But generally, both cancer and divorce is a very common, way too common experience for human beings these days. And for you as an author and stand-up comic to help people find the funny, or at least a positive aspect of what you can come out of surviving those kind of challenges, which is what you will do, especially with the inspiration of a book like this. Now, the fact that you were dealing with cancer and a divorce at the same time is kind of a double whammy. That had to be challenging.
Very much so. But it almost was like, okay, now I've got two different topics that I can look at in a different light and in a humorous light. And, you know, a lot of this stuff just kind of, when you're on a journey of reinvention, a lot of the material kind of writes itself. It just presents itself in front of you because you're constantly faced with new challenges, new ways of doing things. You know, okay, so I'm divorced, but I would still like companionship. So I'm going to try to find somebody to date. But how do we date these days? We do it all by our phone, and I've never done this before. So now I'm going to have to put my foot into that pond of online dating. And exactly. And that, you know, there's where the joke's just going to write themselves. I went to therapy. I never, ever have gone to therapy before. And now, you know, I don't mind admitting it because it seems like everybody's in therapy, but this was something completely new for me. And what I found about the title of that chapter is, I don't need a good therapist, just an available therapist. And that's what it came down to. I mean, it's like, you know, you can't be choosing a therapist because they're all completely booked.
Yeah. So, it doesn't matter how good they are if you can't talk to them.
Right. And then you start thinking like, oh, you have availability? What's wrong with you? You must not be that good at it.
Wait a minute. You answered my call?
Yeah,
well, Greg, do us a favor. Tell my audience that are human beings. My audience is composed of human beings, and they all have issues in their life. I'm sure some are dealing with cancer, somebody in their family, 100% somebody in their family or themselves have dealt with cancer. And I would guess at least 40, 50% have dealt with divorce, and just using round numbers. Would you please tell everybody a little bit, restate the title of the book, where they can find it. This probably makes a good gift for people for the holidays that have somebody in their family dealing with tough issues. It's so important to find the funny in life's tragedies, and this book will help you. Greg, tell us a little bit more about where they can find it.
Right. So the book is called Turning Gut Punches into Punchlines. You can search that. You don't have to search the whole title, but Turning Gut Punches into Punchlines. Of course, you can find it on Amazon. You can also, if you reach out to me via my website at gregschwem.com and send me a message, I'd be more than happy to send you a signed copy with maybe an inspirational message for whoever you're gifting the book to. And Scott, you were correct. I mean, the holidays are coming up. They're not necessarily joyous for anybody, particularly if you do get some bad news or some life-altering news. And if I can help people get through those holidays and maybe put a smile on their face, then that alone is worth writing the book.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. Greg Schwem with Turning Gut Punches into Punchlines is available on Amazon, but I like the idea of the more personal touch. Go to gregschwem.com. That's GregSchwem.com and get a personalized copy and help yourself or help somebody you care about in your family that might be dealing with life's challenges. With Greg's help in this book, you might find the funny and help them get through it. Greg, thanks so much for sharing this information with my audience. It's also important that we balance the fun and humor in life with the stuff that's tough to get through, and things like this really help.
Well, thank you, Scott, and happy holidays to you and your listeners.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's been our bonus show this week. Be sure to check out Greg's book, Turning Gut Punches into Punchlines. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back with our regular full podcast show this Sunday. Happy holidays, as Greg said, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stand-Up Comedy, Your Host and MC. For information on the show, merchandise, and our sponsors, or to send comments to Scott, visit our website at www.standupyourhostandmc.com. Look for more episodes soon and enjoy the world of stand-up comedy. Visit a comedy showroom near you.